Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to Batman, the animated series Shadows of the Bat adventure game system video. So this is part 2. If you want to go back, check out part 1, or if you're coming from that, you know what we're already talking about. If not, I'm going to do in this video is go over all the different scenarios / maps and show them off. That way, if someone wants to, if they didn't pick up part of the game, they can sit down and do it, or they just have access to it. You'll have to pause it. I'm not going to read all the different text and everything. I might talk about random stuff over this. But the idea is you can pause the video and then look at what the map is, what you need to play it. So the first video, we went through episodes 1 through 5, 6 through 12, and then the Arkham, which put us up through, I think, number 18. If I can find the table kind of. Yeah, up through number 18. So the first video goes 1 through 18. The base game plus the big Arkham Asylum expansion. This video, we are going to do the last bunch, which is the stretch goals, as well as the 3 smaller packs, Mysteries of Batwoman, Mask of Phantasm, and the Villain Upgrade Pack, which I think puts us up through number 26, if I remember right. Puts us up through episode number 26. So the first one's more or less like if you bought the base game but didn't buy Arkham, you're not going to really be able to play all of those maps because you wouldn't have had, you wouldn't have the actual map for it to lay out. But you guys take one of the other maps and try and customize it that way. But if you, for some reason, picked up, all of Arkham and the base games, you have all the different map tiles, and you didn't get the stretch goals during the Kickstarter, you didn't get the other expansions, you can watch this video, you can see, like, oh, this is what I can use, I'll just substitute this villain in for that. So I did show in the beginning, I kind of re-went through a little bit of some of the icons. I'm just going to re-show some of them off here, just as a reminder of what all the different icons mean. And then the other one, we have like our terrain guide. It's just a reminder. So if you see them pictured in the book, you remember what they are. Covered terrain, elevated, rough, slow, bottomless, blocking, and then all the different lines and skylights. And then in the actual book, we showed off. I kind of went through the regular parts, if I can find them in here. Never find anything worse. So yeah, we just kind of went through these. So we had just, when you're looking on the map, you can see what they are, just as a reminder. So the prop tokens, elemental terrain, the different lines, slow is stuff, yellow, red for rough, blue are elevated terrain, crates, containers, stuff like that. Kind of hold that so you can pause for you want to read any of those. Covered terrain or blocking terrain for various effects. Unstable, bottomless, special rules for fire escapes and staircases. Exterior terrain, which has the gray border, like smoke and some fire, or harmful terrain like fire as well, or caltrops. And then how doors work. And then we had skylights, the big giant rule for skylights, because there's a bunch of them that use that. Then some of the terrain lines, you have slow, climbable, steering, harmful. Same as all the different blocks, these are just lines instead, as well as the blocking line terrain. Alright, so that's what we have for those. Alright, we're going to hop in here. So, lots of these are going to use characters from the stretch goals. If you don't have those specific characters, again, because you didn't get the Kickstarter stuff and you don't want to shell out that money right now, you can always at least pick up, you can always at least swap in other characters. And you can do that with any of the different missions. So, like, the base game missions, like a Joker mission, or a Two-Face mission, you can swap in a different villain or character if you want to play as somebody else. So, this will break down how, so it'll be episode 19, 20, 21, so it'll be parts, different acts. that you can play as. Alright, so we'll go ahead and look at these. These are all the awesome people that worked on the game. And let's jump in. We have Two-Face. So we fought Two-Face before. We're going to get to fight him again in episode 19. So Prelude to Two-Face Act 1. So this is setting up for Two-Face. Like the other one in the base game, you actually fought Two-Face. This is kind of supposed to be setting up Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face. So that's how I'll kind of do this just for going forward. I'm just going to hold this out for a sec so you guys can pause it if you want to write or look at any stuff or reread it. We'll have the different victory conditions, special rules, all that type of stuff. And then we will look at the maps, which I will go over the setups first, so you know who you have. So like this one, you will use your different enforcers, guns, higher guns, Frankie, what decks they use. And then we'll flip over to this side. You'll actually just see the villain figures, how many you need of each one, plus what components you need, and those are the letters for them. And then we will look at the map specifically. So we have 16A. We'll utilize that map room. This is kind of a fun one because it's separating the multiple different areas. And then we have 7B, which has the skylights, which you usually drop down into the other map. And then 1B, everyone gets out of the Batmobile, runs in, fights the villains, and then moves over. Awesome. Prelude to Two-Face Act Part 2. So I know in the original one, there was one mission where it said you had to use Rupert Thorne, and he was just a gangster. Yeah, the stretch goals you can swap in the miniature. You can even put his deck in there if you want to, in place of some of the cards, and make the mission harder. It's always a fun thing to do. Now, I'm not going to re-go through all of it in this one, but I did kind of talk in the first one briefly, so if you want to check that out if you haven't, about like playing like an interesting campaign mode where like you gain extra heroes and cards as you go along. If you lose cards and heroes. Villains that escape that you lose might join other battles. It's kind of an interesting idea, like playing this as one big giant scenario. And essentially the idea is if you win, your characters get stronger. If you lose, bad guys are going to gang up on you more and make it harder on you. And it was just an interesting idea. And then especially all the stretch goals and all that, you'll have a lot more characters to play from. So here's spot 4B. And we'll jump over to 3B. So there's really nothing in that side. So it has something to it. And then, in case we didn't see that middle part with the door. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. So now this is actually a different one. So this is battle number 6 from the base game. Scenario 3 revisited. So I believe if we jump into, if I find the book for this, episode 1, episode 2, battle 6. I'm looking at episode 5. Oh, because it's in their other book. I'm in their own book. That's why I can't find it. So yeah, normally you would have had, in the first one, you have Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. This would replace Act 3. And it's going to change up some of the stuff you do in there. So if I jump to Act 3, am I guessing that is the one? Yep. I was just saying. So like this one says, Crusher marked with the objective token as Rupert Thorne does not have the henchman attribute. So basically what this is doing is it's redoing that one. So it says originally featured in the core box, as episode 3 has updated the new villain deck and villains found in the Kickstarter box. So instead of having characters act as Rupert Thorne, you actually going to play with Rupert Thorne. So that's kind of a neat idea too, that it's kind of neat to get updated that with some of the other characters. So yeah, then we're actually going to switch to this one where now we have Rupert Thorne Candace and Frankie and Two-Face. We get rid of some of the extra hired guns and we get some of more of the specific characters, which is a really neat thing to be able to do. Upgrading other ones. Now, I think this is like the only one they did that with, but that would be kind of a neat. It's just it kind of shows like this is what you can do. You can take an original scenario from the base game. Hey, we're adding in these other characters and we're making it harder because now we're adding in more characters with their own decks instead of just henchmen and goons. Because you're adding the 3 extra characters, which are going to make it a little bit harder. They're going to be a little bit more challenging. But definitely, that was 5B. I don't know if I showed that. So that's definitely a neat mechanically way they did it. We have the Demon's Quest, episode 20. Unfortunately, as soon as I read Demon's Quest, my brain said Entragon, the demon, and not the demon's head, which is Ra's al Ghul. So, Act 1, Battle number 20. Yeah, so there's got to be some reference rules. And then we have our setup. So recommend hero. Use all Bat family heroes. It's saying you should recommend using Batman, Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, possibly Batwoman. Instead of like Commissioner Gordon and the Grey Ghost or whoever else. I think partly it's thematic, is why they're recommending it. So we do get some new henchmen in here. We get some assassins, which is really great for the stretch goal. I couldn't remember. I knew we had the thugs. That was one thing I mentioned in the other video. There's 13B. It's just 14B. I did mention in the first video about the base game. All you had were the 3 different types of henchmen or thugs. And they can get a little boring after a while. So that's just nice that this adds some different other characters to it. So, Act 2. So getting some assassins gives you some different characters to play as. Now, they might not, again, thematically make sense to have, assassins running around with, the Joker necessarily, or, with Clayface or whoever. But it lets you play around and get some different stuff going on. You get different, some different stuff. So it's like there must have been some tiles in here for the stretch goals. Because I don't, we have the Lazarus pit. But that's the thing. If you didn't buy the Kickstarter and you saw this mission and this looks like fun, the idea of the mission looks fun, you might be able to just play it by itself. Now, granted, you're not going to have any of these characters. So you're going to have to use other characters, and you're not going to have these map tiles, because these are 15 and 16. Yes, these are probably Kickstarter exclusive map tiles. So you might not be able to, but you could always pick something close or, draw your own map tile up and just play on there. Definitely interesting things. It has some spawn zones. And then we have Act number 3. Too bad we didn't get the shirtless Batman, right? Yet somehow he gets his shirt back on. But let's also hopefully maybe this video just seeing what's all in here, seeing the different things. Besides just watching the unboxing, maybe this might intrigue you to want to pick it up. Because it's oh, the scenarios or the maps are really cool. There's some interesting new stuff in there. A staircase. So yeah, Ra's al Ghul, Kali al Ghul, assassins, and some hired guns. 17A. Some spawn zones. I don't think we had spawn zones before. I think that's, again, one of the things that was big difference between the Batman and the Ninja Turtle game. Is I don't think the Batman game really had spawn. You fought what was out there. If you beat them, you beat them. But the Ninja Turtle game, because you're fighting ninjas, kind of like assassins, they always kept coming. So you have Make 'em Laugh, episode 21. So we're gonna fight the Joker. Well, actually, we have, what's it that? It's the Rat Pack and Condiment King. Yep, or Pack Rat. Rat Pack. Pat Rat. A bunch of different extra rules there. This battle is not playable in Dark Knight mode. Interesting. You cannot play this one standalone. Alright, so yeah, this one's going to be one where you're fighting against Condiment King and Pack Rat. Now, if you didn't have them, you can always swap them in for other characters. Interesting here. Cooperative setup. They also list the Joker. So I don't know if that was just a mistake. Because he's not actually in here? Or is he part of the scenario? I didn't read the scenario. He's probably part of the scenario. So you have 5B. You find out one of the hostages is the Joker. And 17B. So 17 might be a Kickstarter one. But here's the thing. That's a very generic enough building that you could probably have anyone, swap it up for anything else. Just have like that border around the outside. Just pick a regular tile, put enough yellow tiles on there, like, whatever you needed to. Yeah, it's just definitely something you could recreate. So you have Make 'em Laugh Act 2. We get Mighty Mom and the Joker. So you get to play some more of these interesting Kickstarters, which is fun that they added them guys actually into there. Like, they could have just been like the Arkham set. They had 3 specific towards like Mad Hatter and Poison Ivy and one of the other Arkham characters. Mad Hatter, I think it was. Mad Hatter, Ivy, and Clayface. Those 3. But then they didn't have like any other stories with any of the other characters. This is kind of cool that the stretch goals are at least adding all of them. This is also fun. It's another single room, 11A. But yeah, this one I know is in one of the other sets. It's not a Kickstarter tile. So you could again swap all of these out with other characters. You have Joker already. You have the Henchmen. Just swap out Mighty Mom for Harley Quinn if you wanted to. It would definitely change up how it is, though. So I have episode 22. So this is Harley and Ivy Act 1. So you have a couple of these. So this would definitely require both. If you're going to play this fully, you require both Arkham and base game. So you have both Harvey and Harley and Ivy. But yeah, definitely some interesting stuff in here. Get the killer plants. And then we have this tile here, 8B, a little museum. And then we have outside. That's the only thing that's sort of weird about this. There's a lot of stuff where there's like the outside and then there's the inside. Or you're like, why do your characters have to start 5 turns away? Or like 5, they start way over here and they have to move over to get into the building. There's like, if there's a couple of thugs out here like guarding, that would have been made more sense, I guess. I'm not really sure what the whole exact point of that was. Here we have Batgirl in there, so we have Act 2. Scenario is each bystander to be gains Entangled 3. We have our setup here, so we have the same characters. And again, playing these, I said this in the last video, playing these like one after another, like Act 1, Act 2, you're going to have probably all the different miniatures already out. Like this one, you already have Harley, Ivy, Killer Plant, and the hired guns out. You probably have a lot of the tokens out already. So you just need to grab the new tiles. You grab the deck of cards. So playing them in order like that, like one after another, would definitely save you from having to like reshuffle everything up every time. 18B. There's one plant in the corner. It's just kind of funny. Alright, then Act 3. Trait. Creatures. Creature figures may not perform special actions. Do not share line of sight. Interesting. Oh, we skipped over the map. There we go. So this one's going to add Joker in here as well, plus Bud and Lou and Killer Plants. So this is going to be 3 main villains and like 2 henchmen, or more henchmen villains that actually have decks. Which again makes this a little bit definitely more interesting. So you get to play as a bunch of different harder characters to fight against. So we have 1B. And then note that there is a broken wall token up here. Just to point that out in case you can't see that through the crease in the book. And then all the villains are hanging out in this lounge in 18A. So this is kind of neat. This is what I mean. Like, we're here yet to fight the Killer Plants to get in to fight the villains. Alright, then we have episode 23. So Livewire teaming up with Harley and Ivy. Both Batman and Superman absent. Batgirl and Supergirl must step up to save the city. So Girls' Night Out Act 1. So inoculate, rescue bystanders. If you win, you get to bring an ally. If you lose, villains gain 1 focus. Makes them harder. So you got Livewire, Harley Quinn, Bud and Lou. I don't know why they put it like this. Bud and Lou as 2 there, and then the other mission we just saw they did is a separate 2. Here's some fire tokens. 14A. Set a cop car and the tanker truck on fire. Bunch of cars on fire. It's actually fun. The cars are on fire. It's an interesting mechanic. I don't think I've seen that before. So this one doesn't. This one makes more sense where it's like they're way over there because it's an open area, so the villains could eventually pursue them. We have Girls' Night Out Act 2. Now this is one where it doesn't specify who you have to play, but if you're trying to play canonically, you probably play as Supergirl and Batgirl. Now, if you want to play 4 characters, you probably want to pick some of the other females. Now, that could be Batwoman as well. Potentially, it could be the Phantasm, Renee Montoya, Catwoman. There's a couple of different female characters you could choose from if you wanted to pick some different characters. Now, it would have been really cool if this would have kept going on and they would have done a follow-up series to this. Which would have been like the Justice League. Either Justice League Unlimited cartoon would have been cool, where you just started getting some of the other characters. Which then would have been more battle-focused, maybe as opposed to like these are more like trying to figure out puzzles or scenarios, like rescuing bystanders stuff. But you could have definitely kept that idea in there for lots of them. But you could have a lot more unique villains, a lot more unique characters. Because you could have gotten like Black Canary and Green Arrow, Hawk Girl, Martian Manhunter. Like, I get some of the other superpowers versus the Bat family be a lot more overpowered, so why you only get Supergirl in this set. But it still would have been very interesting to have. Alright, Girls' Night Out Act 3. I think this is the final one for this book. Now, this does include some of the characters for the Kickstarter. Obviously doesn't include every single character in the Kickstarter in these different scenarios. So you gotta, swap them in as you want or into other missions. Now, if you're only playing the regular missions, you wouldn't use a lot of the characters. A lot of the ones like Arkham got missed, a bunch from this one all got missed. I didn't actually look at this. There's all different characters. And the 6 villains. This one's kind of fun too, because we've already seen this setup before in the Arkham set when we fought Ivy. So you're just fighting this mode again, just with different characters in there. So instead of a bunch of henchmen stuff, you're just fighting, or just Ivy, now you're fighting with a bunch of extra villains. Makes it that much harder. And there's some of our other artwork. Alright, so that was our stretch goals. So even obviously just looking at some of this, we didn't use, like Zatanna didn't get in there, Firefly, Bane. Of course, some of these guys are also in the other sets here. But yeah, we didn't use every single one of these characters. Red Claw there. Alright, let's hop into our next guide. Alright, this is for Mystery of the Batwoman. Now, these are a little bit smaller books. They made for the expansions. So they're going to be a little bit tinier. But we're going to have, based off the movies, I think of what these were kind of based off of. Which is where we get Bane in there. Mystery of the Batwoman, Act 1, 2, and 3. Mystery of the Batwoman, Episode 24. I would have loved there to be one mission on here that was based off the episode of the animated Batman series where the villains are putting Batman on trial. I don't know how it would have worked, but I love that episode. Alright, so there's what we're doing in this one. Special scenario rules. Heroes winning at the end of round 5. So it's kind of like Stay Alive. Interesting. So we have Crusher, Enforcer, recommended heroes. So recommend using Batwoman, of course, because it wants you to play as the main character here. And if we look at our tiles, we have 5A. So like Batwoman, she'll start in there versus all these other guys. And then the other heroes, the other 3 heroes, so this only lists 4 for this one, have to crash through and come in and help her. That's a neat setup as well. Again, you could mix and match this with any other set of characters. You know, Act 2. Penguin and Rupert Thorne. So we get more of our other characters. Heroines of both leader villains receive a KO token. So this means they're going to fight 2 regular villains. Again, recommending Batwoman. You can decide who she's hunting down. So then they have Penguin and Rupert Thorne listed as the story. So recommended villains. But again, you could put anyone in here if you want to play your own mode. So we're going to start there with one villain, and then she starts in the mode with the other ones, and then the other guys have to come and try and help her. So this is kind of an interesting idea with these, like, because so for all the rest of them, always the villains are all, or the heroes are always together, or we've had like the one mission or scenario where they could split up into 2 groups, like we go to room A or go to room B. But for the most part, all the characters are always together. So this is actually kind of cool because it adds in the fact of you're playing the character by Batgirl by herself, or whoever you decide to choose. If you don't want to use her, you can always put Batman by himself. But yeah, it's kind of interesting because then it makes it so you have to like do a solo thing, then the other characters can't be messing around in the other rooms. They need to hurry up and get through. So here's Bane plus the 2 leaders. And again, we have multiple rooms here. So you have 2 leaders start in that room that's on fire for some reason. They're burning the money, maybe. And then all 4 heroes start here. This one doesn't even recommend Batgirl, which is kind of weird, but You are trying to stop the villains from escaping. And that's what we have for Backrow. So not too much in there, but definitely some interesting ones. The next one up, we have the Mask of the Phantasm. Great movie. I haven't seen it in forever, but so this is episode 25. Again, 3 parts. This will give us Bruce Wayne there. Just fun. Alright, so there's our Phantasm. So this actually has some interesting mechanics as well, which is really neat. So, like, in the hero and competitive both ones, you're playing your heroes and your villains, and then Phantasm plays separately. Just as competitive rules for this battle, each player takes a turn as Phantasm, villain, hero, villain. The villain player gets their turn as normal. However, they only play 2 cards per round instead of 4. Once the villain leader reaches 0, they may not reroll. This battle is only played with 1 hero and the Phantasm. Each player has their own objective. The hero and the Phantasm. So you play like normal, but one person has to be the Phantasm. The other player is whoever else. So probably Batman generally. It says a villain leader is added to the battle. They represent Chucky's soul. So that's like probably whoever the Phantasm is trying to hunt down. And then different victories depending on who does what and how each player wins. So it's kind of a neat idea because we had the Batgirl one where you had Batgirl fighting by herself and then other heroes had to come and try and help her. This one instead you have one hero that's doing their own stuff and the other hero is doing their stuff. It makes for an interesting thing because it's like you have each player doing their own separate mission. So you have 7B, so they start together for some reason. And then they drop down into 6B. This is just where the heroes can start either spot. And then Batman or whoever is going to drop in from up there. And then the Phantasm is going to come from the parking lot. And rushing through the inside that way. So it's kind of neat. They have their own different little modes. And I think this carries over the entire thing. So Act 2. Yes, these guys kind of work together. They decide they need to team up. Some special rules there. And we have our recommended heroes again. So initiatives, we're going to have Hired Gun, Enforcer. Also mentioned the Bullets in here as a cooperative setup. So he's our leader for this mission, even though he doesn't have a deck. Which is interesting. I think they just left his deck off or something. They messed something up there. But the Beat Cops are kind of cool. Another special set of minions that we can use. This is again another 3-parter tile set. 13A with the bat signal. All the cops are kind of hanging out up there. Tile 14 on the streets. And 3A where the heroes are. And then Phantasm starts down here. And then Act 3. So only a 3-part act. So again, they have to, so the hero wins if the time bomb is undefused and the Phantom has a KO token. Villains win if the bomb explodes or the hero or Phantasm has 2 KO tokens. And the Phantasm wins if they KO the Joker. So that means if your hero is Batman, not only do you have to KO the Phantasm, you also have to try and protect the Joker, which is kind of crazy, right? So we get a bunch of different stuff there. Our our time bomb, our characters, and then our 2 maps. So we start with 13 or 15A there. And then 16A. So yeah, your hero has to try and get to the 2 characters there. So it's definitely an interesting mode to play. I wish they had more like this. Like, just stuff. But it's also, again, the thing if you're trying to create your own game modes, this is definitely a different idea. Like, hey, you could have it where one player does this, one player is doing that, and they have different objectives. Like, another interesting way to do that would be, one player is playing as one of the Bat characters, the Bat family. The other player controls the GCPD. And they have different motives. Like, right? Like, the cops are maybe like, hey, like, in the end, they all want to take down the villain, but maybe, maybe the cops can also like, hey, we can get bonus points if we take down these vigilantes. Alright, so the last one we have is the Villain Upgrade Pack. Now, this is really fun because what this does, if you've seen the unboxing and stuff, it lets you play as the villains. So basically it does is it takes all the villain characters, or most of the villain characters, not every, I don't know if it's every villain or not off the top of my head, but they get special cards like the heroes do, they get all that stuff, so now they can all be played as heroes, and they'll have their own dice they can use, but you have a special set of dice you can mix and match, so either you can play as a brawler, an assassin, a bruiser, or a wild card, or you can mix and match all the different dice to give them different objectives. We're going to have 3 different missions, so this is kind of cool because you're going to get to play as the villains, but it's not competitive. It's only cooperative, only versus an AI, because you're playing against hero characters. There's also added some of the basic hero characters. I don't think it was every hero character, but most of the hero characters got a villain AI set. So now they can play as villains, but they can only play in the cooperative mode because they have to be the AI version. So that's definitely cool. So you have Almost Got 'Em, Part 1, Episode 26. So it's about group of villains want to determine which of them has come closer to eliminating Batman. Each tells the story of the time they are almost certain they have defeated their dreaded enemy. It's just kind of a neat idea. So the heroes, quote unquote, which are the villain characters, win if they KO all the surviving villain leaders on the map, and the villains win if any hero receives a token. The Batman ally card may not be added, even if Batman or Bruce Wayne was not selected as a hero. A couple other different stuff in there. Yeah, just remember they keep putting hero in quotes because they're assuming you're playing as the villains in this set. So again, this definitely makes for an interesting idea. So your initiative cards are you're fighting against Bullock, Gordon, Montoya, Batman, Robin, some beat cops. Starts of board. I think they made a mistake there. Yeah, so this is definitely, again, this mode makes this interesting where now you can play as the villains. Because now you can also do other things with this mode for other team-ups, as you could have just take other scenarios in this game and be like, you could replay the Mask of the Phantasm, one we just went over. Instead of the Phantasm, you could have the other person be the Joker, or the other person be Bane or someone, right? Definitely makes that more interesting. So yeah, here you're playing as the villains against the cops. Makes for a different idea. Like we were talking earlier about playing the female characters against each other, right? So I don't remember all of these having an AI card or a deck to play as a villain, but if they did, because they had Harley, Ivy, and Livewire, you could then take like Catwoman, Ra's al Ghul, like Red Claw, like 3 of the villain characters and have them fight it out. Definitely something like that. Or you could have like Harley, you could have like Joker, Penguin and Mr. Freeze fight against him. It's kind of interesting. Definitely a neat idea. So here even you could have some of these where you could play as the heroes against them as well. Like this one, maybe not. The other ones you have Batman and Robin come in. You could be like alternate world where Batman and Robin are evil and the Joker and them are good. So you could swap this out instead of Batman and Robin and Batgirl. You could always have them be bad guy characters in this mode. Be like it's Joker, Harley, and Ivy, and then you're fighting against Batman and Robin. So kind of a little bit different there. This is kind of a neat one too. We've seen the prison before, so this one now your characters start in there and you have to escape from the prison instead of the other way where you were fighting the villains trying to escape. So that's one definitely thing that villain mode lets you play as. The villains as heroes. It lets you basically recreate a lot of the different modes, just alternate. Again, you even play every single mission just opposite. Flop the characters around. So this is the last one. So there's our mode there. Just Batman and Robin. And then there's just a single room. You just gotta fight against Batman and Robin who are entangled. So they're already captured. They're eventually gonna break free, but you're trying to search for loot while they're escaping, I'm guessing. Alright, so that is what we have for that. Alright, so one last thing I want to just jump into the end of this video and show off, so hopefully you guys are still watching, is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shares the same gameplay style and everything. It's just, again, this one is more combat-oriented, where the Batman one has more stuff like rescuing bystanders, defusing bombs, sneaking around, things like that. This is more just trying to, not necessarily brute forcing your way in, but that's more or less what you're trying to do. But it also features characters that spawn more. So the bad guys in Batman tend to just sit there, and they're out there and that's it. You defeat the thugs that are sitting around, you defeat the thugs, the turtles keep coming up. I did want to show off a couple of these now. Again, if you don't have the Turtles game, that's fine. The idea is that you could use this style of map or thing to play it. So this is one map where you take your heroes, your 4 heroes, and you play against just Splinter. But note here that you're playing against the AI version. And he has 4 initiative cards. So he'll act 4 times to each of your heroes acting once. But basically the idea is you're trying to fight him. And it's a sparring mode. That's the whole idea. It's enter the dojo. So yeah, you're just trying to spar with him and see if you can beat him. That's the whole point. And we'll be playing cooperative mode for this battle. Heroes will spar against Master Splinter, follow his special rule on his ability. So he has a special rule for how he activates doing different things. But the idea is, you have Batman versus Robin and Nightwing, for example. Or Tim Drake Robin and the other Robin. Wow, my brain can't think of who the other... Dick Grayson Robin. You have both Robins in there. You can have them fight, or Batgirl. You can have them fight against different things. Just sparring to see hey, how well can we do? So that's one different type of mode you could always try doing. Like Batman, maybe he'd give him some extra initiative cards, or he just reshuffle it. He doesn't have the extra cards or rules, but it's an idea. The other one that's sort of similar to that is Test Subject 2077. So it's Slash, big giant turtle there. They're fighting off against him. Now, he does have, I believe he does have a deck and everything you can fight against. So he's not just automated, but the idea of the whole mode is you have to defeat heroes whenever Slash is KO'd. Evil wins if any hero receives a KO token. So they're basically trying to defeat each other. So at the start of the battle, shuffle the objective tokens and place them on the map side, question mark side face up. These represent light switches. To turn on a light switch, a hero must be on or adjacent to a light switch to make a successful focus check with 2. With the object appears all red until all the lights turn on. Until all the lights are on, all spaces will be obscured and slow terrain. For this battle, Slash is unaffected by obscure and slow terrain. So, the idea is this. It's again one big tile, but there's four lights. You have to find the one that's the light. Otherwise, your characters can't see line of sight, so they can't do ranged attacks against them, or they're going to be severely negated. And everything's going to be slow, so they're not going to be able to move around very much. So you have a big character that's going to run around just pummeling these guys while they're trying to do other stuff. So it's kind of an interesting, different take on the fighting mode. So I think Splinter had special rules because he had extra cards. This character wouldn't. But again, you could do the same idea with Batman versus whoever, even if you have Batman versus some of the villains, right? You have a couple of the villain playables. That's definitely a different thing to do. So just 2 different ideas for something else you could add into there. The other one, which is more of a loose concept than trying to follow the exact one, which I wish they would have done something like this for the Batman, but I get they were trying to base stuff off of episodes, and the Turtles were based off the comics. Is you have micro series, which were single issue episodes, or single issue comics, but there are scenarios for each character. So I had one that was just for Raphael. So the idea is it follows this little storyline, but you're just supposed to play as Raphael. Now this one also has Casey Jones in there as well. But yeah, it's just a little solo mission with just 2 characters. Now, there aren't very many missions in the Batman set to have where you just play as 1 or just 2 characters. But that would have definitely been cool. You could have had some that were the dynamic duo, where you just play as Batman and Robin, they have a special scenario by themselves. Or they had one where it was maybe it was Robin and Nightwing teaming up, or Batgirl and Robin. Or maybe the cops. You just play as Commissioner Gordon, Bullock, and Renee. And that's the only characters you get, just the cops. That would have been kind of neat to have specific little stories that were just something they were doing. They didn't have too many of them. They had the Batwoman or the Phantasm one in that set, but not too many other ones. So again, this isn't going to be an exact, not able to take this exact map and recreate it. But you could do very well because these are thugs and brawler gunners, so you could definitely use them. But again, they have the spawn points. They're going to keep coming back until you defeat the boss character. But, this could be Ra's al Ghul and assassins, idea. And then each character's separate mission had a little bit different stuff in there, like Michelangelo's. Can only be in cooperative mode. Now his is more of a heist. I'm not going to read through all of that, but I'll hold there for a second if you want to. But hero wins if they drop the jewel onto the goal. So the idea here is it's a 2-fold map. There's spawn points out there. There's the goal. So Michelangelo has to get into this mode, pick up this jewel, and then get out. Now what makes this trickier, because Batman doesn't use, is these have cameras. So the cameras do other different stuff in there as well, so you have to dodge the 4 cameras, and there's one there, and one down here as well. And they rotate every turn. They can rotate and see different directions. So it says cameras have different effects. Cameras are protected by bulletproof glass and cannot be destroyed or hacked. Villains share a line of sight with cameras and will activate as long as the heroes are in the sight on their cameras. So, none of these guys, currently right now, they won't see Michelangelo where he's at until he walks in the light of this camera. Now, this camera's going to go this way, and it's going to go this way. So he has to try and dodge around, but, he can get into this room, take out these 3 guys if he can dodge this camera and dodge that camera, but it makes it a lot harder. It's an interesting psycho scenario. Donatello has one. His is a little bit different too, but mostly you play as a single player. Hero wins if they escape through the skylight. So in his, he has a single mode. He's trying to uncover these tokens, and he has to get out through one of these rooms, but he's just basically being swarmed. We have Baxter Stockman as a leader. So start of the battle, chooses action, blah blah. Objective token represents Skylight. The hero must attempt to escape through using a gravity gauntlet. While standing on it, if there are no enemies adjacent, hero may make a focus. So yeah, it's basically you have to try and clear out the guys and get to them things to escape. So it's like an escape mission. It's kind of interesting. Then the last one was Leonardo's, which is more straightforward. Survive till the end of round 8. It's a survival thing. And it's basically, yeah, he starts in the middle. No place to go, no obstacles, just spawn points of ninjas. And, that could be kind of interesting. You could be like, hey, Batman's fighting just a ton of thugs that are coming at him. It could just, something different. I don't know how well the Batman characters would work in some of these missions that are more, fighting based versus other stuff. They might not be as set up for fighting. Alright, so then the other one I wanted to show off were skirmishes. So the Turtles also added, so again, you're talking about a lot more battles, introduced skirmishes in here. So an overview of the skirmishes are, each round heroes roll their action dice to determine which. In skirmish mode, one by one, heroes from each team will activate, working to achieve their goals before the other team. After all heroes have been activated or KO'd, in which they are removed from the board, the round ends, heroes respawn to their starting areas, and a new round begins. This continues until one side has achieved their conditions in a selected skirmish. It's just kind of interesting. Up to 4 players take on a role of heroes, Turtles and their allies, battling against either controlling players, villains in competitive mode, or the game itself in cooperative mode. In the expansion, you can fight out in skirmish battles to prove they have the best heroes or the Nexus champion. So there's 2 different types of skirmish. Here's some setup rules. Just some different stuff here. So it's a player plays skirmish on any type of any battle type in any arena. Select the heroes you wish to play. All the different stuff they get. But yeah, we have a couple of different things here. So we have your action dice, you have battle phase, play order, hero's turn. You spend the same way they do everything else, just cleanup phase and drafting. Players must elect to draft the heroes who have selected them. You just randomly select a player, and they just pick their hero, so you get to choose. But there's 2 different skirmishes. There's Battle Nexus. So Battle Nexus is to be objective, be the last hero remaining on the board. Victory, the last hero standing, your triumph over your valor. So there's different things players do. You separate in different groups. A single or double tile arena, deciding randomly, places of heroes on the board. Different spots. Team size, 1. Number of heroes, number of teams, as many as you want. Number of heroes, somewhere between 3 to 8 players. So it's kind of cool. You have up to 8 different people playing this if you really wanted to. And you have different ways to share dice. Either no dice, you can share 1 die, 2 dice, or 1 dice with 2 different heroes. So you have some options if you want to help people out or not. Then the other one is Teams Shell Smash. And this one can be the first team to KO the number of opposing heroes equal to their team size plus 1. So this one is teams of 2 to 4 battle to who is the strongest and smartest. Dish out tail tokens. So you're fighting against, instead of the one mode, you're just playing one character and you're trying to beat everybody else. If you lose, you're out of the game. The team one, you're trying to KO as many guys. If you get KO'd, you can come back in. And then they have some ideas for kind of like a setup for that. So like the Battle Nexus, you can fight like in like one arena there, or like here they have the subway setup. For the turtle one, you can have all that, and look, now you have 8 different spawn points in there. So you have all these different players that can play in different areas. Or they have like the Shell Smash, which is teams, so you can have like this grave or dump. In city streets, you can have like 1 team here, 1 team over here, or you could do like a 2v2. Those are just ideas. Again, you can do any mode of that. But again, these are different modes you could play, introducing to the Batman, which would be kind of interesting to do. Everyone versus everyone again. It's a sparring thing. Instead of one, like Splinter versus the four turtles or something like that, you could have all four Bat characters facing off against each other. Batman, Robin, Nightwing, or all the Bat family fighting off. Just hey, who's the best? We're just having a competition to see who would come out on top. Or you could do the teams, and again, you could have the Bat family versus Arkham characters. Or you could even, again, split it up if you wanted to have up to 4 teams. You could have, 2 Bat characters versus, 2 Arkham characters, like, Batman, Robin versus Harley Quinn and Joker versus, maybe someone just control 3 players. They get the Gotham Police, and then like a 4th one gets like Racing Talia. You can do different teams like that, or randomly pick. Definitely something a little bit different other than just objectives. And then you can even take this to that extreme. Some of these to the extreme of even having these types of modes, but with objectives. Maybe like you add some of the stuff from Batman where you have captives, and instead of it being you have to defeat the other players, who can rescue captives more? Like, who can, like, rescue the bystanders the quickest? And then have, like, maybe henchmen spawning that you have to then fight off. So then you can decide, oh, I'm Batman, playing, like, Battle Nexus mode. 4 players spawn, or you have teams, Different things like that. Like, they spawn, henchmen will keep spawning out, you have to defeat them. If they defeat you, you get KO'd. Maybe you respawn at the end of the turn back at the beginning, or you lose a turn or something. Who knows? Just different other ways to play. There's a bunch of extra modes in all of these. There are different maps and stuff that you can always see for the turtles. And I'll probably do a video like this I did for the turtle one as well. But that's what we have for the Batman. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it showed off everything you guys needed to know. Unfortunately, again, they haven't made any more of these. There's probably online ones. You can go check out the official Facebook group for this. For the Adventure system, it has stuff for Batman and Turtles. I'm sure people created alternate ones, and a lot of people are doing stuff with Mr. Freeze and making more ice tiles. So they didn't really have a Mr. Freeze mission in here. Or they did, but they could have had more. They could definitely have done more of some of the other characters. Alright, that's what I got. See you guys later. Bye.